Well, I think any case of radical remission is astounding. And I will say that I've tweaked the definition over the years. It's always been defined in the medical community as a statistically unlikely remission. And typically that means, in the absence of conventional medicine or in the presence of conventional medicine that is considered inadequate to produce the resulting remission. So I have three categories of radical remission that I study. So again, these are statistically unlikely remissions that, according to the doctors, were not supposed to happen. Category one is people who from the beginning say, okay, thank you for the diagnosis, but I'm just going to make a personal choice not to use conventional medicine. I'm going to see how that goes. So they kind of postpone conventional medicine, put it in their back pocket, and they end up never needing it. So that's option number one. Option number two are people like Shin Tariana, who is someone featured in my docuseries and my first book, who's actually, I always have to give him credit because he's the reason I'm here studying this 15 years later. He was the first case of radical remission that I read about, and he will blow your socks off because he did all of the conventional medicine. He had stage 4 kidney cancer 35 years ago, and he did surgery, had a kidney removed, did lots of chemotherapy and really the maximum amount of radiation that they wanted to give him. And still, unfortunately, it didn't work. And he ended up going home basically on the equivalent of what back then in Japan was hospice care. So he was sent home in a wheelchair and a feeding tube and told he had, 1 to 3 months to live. He started intuitively just making these little changes in his lifestyle. Started off that first night with asking for filtered water because the tap water tasted really disgusting to him after all that radiation. And then just like little baby step changes where he went to the roof every morning to watch the sunrise, express his gratitude for another day to be with his wife and children. That led to daily meditation, daily mantra practice. He eventually started a macrobiotic diet. And then suddenly 3 months later, he's still around and he's still watching the sunset and listening to the birds. And 6 months later, he's still there. And then 3 years later, he's still there. So he just started, incorporating what in my research has turned out to be these 10 key healing factors. And he just sort of did it by intuition. And anyway, long story short, 3 years later, he got a scan, no evidence of cancer whatsoever in his body. And 35 years later, he recently celebrated his 50th wedding anniversary with his wife. They have something like 7 grandchildren. And he is, honest to God, the happiest man I've ever met. If you get a chance to meet him, his smile will just, radiate on you like sunlight. So that's the second category. Someone who tries conventional medicine to its fullest, it unfortunately doesn't work. So then they turn to other options. The third category, which is really important for all of your listeners to know, is a statistically unlikely cancer remission in which someone combines conventional and alternative medicine at the same time. So what that means for researchers like me is it's a little tricky, right? Because we can't figure out what led to their remission. Was it the conventional medicine only and all that other stuff was just, expensive vitamins going out in your urine? Or was it the, alternative things and the conventional stuff actually didn't contribute to the remission? Or did they work synergistically? Now, from my perspective, in that third category, I'm only looking at people who combine conventional and alternative in order to heal a statistically dire prognosis. So that for me means a less than 25% 5-year survival rate. So that's someone who's healing from pancreatic cancer, right? Or stage 4 lung cancer. Really anyone who's given very few months to live, if they heal, I want to study them. And so that's why I created that third category. So again, radical remission is statistically unlikely cancer remission. And Shin is a great example of that. I have so many more I could tell you about. Oh, Nathan, I could tell you stories all day. Another woman, brave young woman that I've had the honor of meeting, she's in my second book, Radical Hope, and she also agreed to be filmed for the docuseries, is Bailey O'Brien. She actually just lives 45 minutes from me, so it's great. She's local, and we can go to farmers markets together. But what's interesting about Bailey is that she was really young when she was diagnosed with melanoma. She was 18. She was a freshman at college. So her life was just beginning. She was on the diving team. She ironically was majoring in nutritional sciences to try to learn how to eat better and to learn about the power of food. And she felt a lump like on her temple. And she was like, oh, that's weird. Where did that lump come from? Well, they got it biopsied and it was melanoma. And she was a big believer in medicine, and as I am as well. I'm a big believer in statistically proven medical treatments, ones that are likely to help you. And so she did everything her doctors recommended. Unfortunately, a year or two later, it came back when she was a junior in college. So now she has stage 4 melanoma, which has definitely less than a 25% 5-year survival rate. And the doctor said, we don't really have any great options for you. We could try to get you on a clinical trial, but we've done all the chemo, we've done all the surgery that's indicated for you. And that was the moment where she, and with the help of her mother, decided to take a chance. And instead of, enrolling and waiting for these clinical trials, they got on a plane and went to a clinic in Mexico that had seeming success in treating advanced melanoma cases. And so I won't mention the name of that hospital because I'm not here to endorse any particular place, but I will say what they did, which was, for her, they did the Gerson therapy, as well as injections of Coley's toxins, which is a way to stimulate the immune system by giving yourself an injection of some toxins, some things that your body can fight, but your body has to kind of wake up to fight them. A lot like a flu vaccine, right? We give ourselves the dead flu vaccine because it teaches our immune system how to fight it, what to do with it. Coley's toxins is a little more aggressive than that because you're getting live viruses, live toxins injected into you. But again, the idea of this clinic that she went to in Mexico was to wake up the immune system, wake it up with a major diet change, with daily colonics, with these Coley's toxins. And then, of course, she did a bunch of emotional and spiritual work as well. Happy to report that just 6 weeks later, she got a scan that was clear. So 6 weeks of treatment was all it took for her. And she had to continue that very aggressive diet for years to come. And she still does it to this day. She doesn't do quite as many coffee enemas a day or quite as many juices as she did when she was, acutely stage 4. But she's alive and well, and has a wonderful life now in her late 20s and has her whole life ahead of her. So there's just some really amazing stories with radical remissions of people who were really told that there was nothing more that could be done, and then they turned it around. So those are the people I study, and they bring me lots of inspiration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about them.